the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, this is the EntreLeadership podcast, where I take calls from leaders like you about what it takes to win at any stage of business and leadership. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host, with over 30 years of experience leading in the trenches, right alongside you. If you want to submit a question, go to EntreLeadership.com/ask or leave us a voicemail at 844-944-1070. We'll make you a caller here on the show. That's 844-944-1070. James is in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Hi, James. How are you?
Good. How are you, Dave?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
So my question today is, when trying to grow the business and opinions differ, when do you decide when to stay or when to leave? I'm the operations manager for my family's stone quarry business. We have about 20 full-time team members when we bring in about $4 to $5 million in revenue.
How old are you?
33.
Okay. And who's still there? Your dad?
Grandfather actually kind of skipped a generation. My grandfather is 82. He's still involved. I do about 95% of the day-to-day decisions and decision making. He still comes to work, puts in about 4 or so hours every day. He likes to stay active in the business and stay working.
He owns 100% of it?
Correct. We have two separate entities. One's a subsidiary of the other, and he's 100% owner of both.
Okay. And so when will you become the owner?
The way it is set up now, at his passing, in the will, that's how it's written. I would become 100%.
As a gift?
Yes.
Okay. And what is it you're wanting to do that he won't go along with while he's alive?
Not only just him. It also comes down to kind of other family members that are involved. Kind of, we've started like our leadership team, and then as far as employees as well.
You have other family members working there that aren't going to become owners?
Yes. Well, my brother will get, the way it is written, he gets some portion, some equipment to kind of continue a division as well.
All right, I'm confused. I thought a while ago you said you're getting the thing. So now your brother's getting part of it.
Yes, but as written is just kind of equipment that comes out of it. We don't have a separate entity yet for the division that because it's all under the one.
Okay, so what would he be doing? Would he be competing with you at that point?
No. They're two separate things that we would do. So we do dimensional stone and crushed stone, and he does kind of on the dimensional stone side, making stone for patios and sidewalks, and then more so what I run is the actual mine, as well as we do trucking, crushed stone, and sell stone for driveways,
okay,
roadways.
So Grandpa's going to set him up in the designer stone business, and you're going to run the rest of it.
Yep.
And you're going to separate the business at that point. He'll have his own little business. They're going to give him some equipment to do that with.
That's correct.
But why does that give him a say today?
Because we're all one company now. It's not necessarily my growth is looking into how to growth as far as different things we want to do, as well as how to start leading and being more organizational is kind of where we differ.
Okay.
On
who? You and your brother, or you and your grandfather?
Brother.
Well, your brother doesn't have a say. He's not going to be running it.
Okay.
He's getting 2 trucks and going to do stone over on the side. Why does he have a say in what you're doing organizationally with what's going to be yours?
I was just saying, like, we try to be all on the same page as a leadership team right now.
Yeah, but he's not. I mean, he's running something over there to the side that's going to be carved out. I mean, metaphorically and literally.
Okay.
Right?
Correct.
Why does he have a voice in this? I don't understand. I mean, his thing is over to the side. Just get the heck out of the way and let me run this. I'm confused.
Yeah. And then as far as kind of...
Who gave him that power, your grandfather or you?
No, I guess kind of, he hasn't really, I guess I don't, I mean, it really, no one, he's not saying we can't. It's just kind of the differentiating on more so the organizational is the issue there as far as growing the different divisions, different portions, markets we want to get into is kind of my grandfather.
Okay, so what market is it that you're wanting to get into with your portion that your grandfather didn't want to do?
It's called contract crushing, where we travel and go to other locations, sites and other quarries, not just our own physical site.
Gotcha. Okay, and that's a way you could expand the business that you're
Correct.
going to receive.
Yeah, and we have just recently started with that and have been successful. We've increased, we've already done more than half of revenue we brought in last year and increased our profit by 10% just by doing that this year.
I thought you said he didn't want to do it.
Yeah, it's a thing we're trying out, and we're just not sure if we want to keep with that.
I'm okay. You said your grandfather didn't want to expand the business into the mobile crushing, and then you said we did it.
Yeah, if we did this as local, and it's kind of like our test run, but before we purchase more equipment, hire more employees, trying to decide if it's something we want to continue because we would be expanding further out of our area.
Yeah, I mean, you would need to test it and make sure,
yeah.
Even if your grandfather wasn't around, you're just running your own thing. You would test that idea and make sure it's profitable, because you might look back on it and go, that was a stupid thing we tried to do. I've done a lot of stupid stuff over here that I thought was smart when I was doing it, but I figured out during the test that we didn't want to, if you're losing 25 cents a watermelon, you don't get a bigger truck, right?
Yeah, correct.
And so that's so if did the test go well enough that that good business wisdom says to continue, or does it say it was a dumb idea?
No, so far it has been very. It has.
Okay, so what's your grandfather's hang up with doing more of it?
Just he doesn't like going outside of our area. He likes staying more local and would rather try to expand locally. But kind of the market's pretty well tapped out as far as in our area due to how rural it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I think that you have a lot more power in this moment than you feel like you have.
I think
you're letting your brother's voice interfere in these discussions, and he doesn't need to be in these discussions. It's not his deal. He needs to be in anything you're talking about expanding that's in his area that he's going to get. The artisan stone business or the patio business or something, that sure, he should speak into that with what you're describing. But he's not, if he's trying to interfere in this other mobile stuff, he doesn't get a say. He doesn't get a vote in that. And so if you want to be part of the leadership team, that's fine, but your vote doesn't count on this because you're not going to be doing it in 10 years. Because I don't think we're going to be dealing with a 92-year-old in the office. I might be wrong, but statistically we won't be. So now then the grandfather's a different thing, and I think you just continue to talk to him, learn from him. Why does he not want to go wider? I mean, you're leaving this to me, Grandpa, and this is how I think we ought to do it. Explain to me when you're not here how you're thinking that, because maybe I'm missing something. Teach me what it is I'm missing. What is it I'm not considering that you think that's causing, that you're considering? Because you've been doing this longer than I am and you're wiser than me. And so why would you say this other than you just don't want to do it? That's not and so maybe there's some, because there's stuff around here. I've been doing this 35 years that I know in my little finger that's not going to work. Because I've done 62 things like that before, but the new person with the idea doesn't necessarily have that experience. So I need to stop as the founder and explain to the new person why I'm thinking that, not just randomly because I said no. And although the no might be the correct answer. So I think you got to have those conversations with your grandpa. What you can learn from him while you've got him, would be valuable. And you pay him honor in the process, and that's also the correct way to challenge his question or his blockade. And then ultimately, I'll just be, I don't know if the unkind is the right word or not, but he's 82. You're not going to be facing this for long. I mean, either he's going to be unable to be there every day, or he's going to be in heaven. Right? I mean, that's a statistical thing. I don't mean that to be unkind, but that this is not like if he was 62 and vital. I mean, crap, you could have to deal with him for another 30 years. That's a different conversation. Okay, then we have a much more combative conversation for you to get control of the thing that you're called to run. But waiting him out is not a bad option. But I also want to get in there and learn what I can from him. Why is it you don't want to go to these other markets, Grandpa? What am I missing? Am I being too aggressive, or are you being too calm about it? I think there's something here to go get. You grew a great business, and I want to walk in your shoes. I want to learn from you. So show me. And, maybe he'll melt down a little bit on this. And then also just one more time say it, your brother does not get a vote in your business. He gets a vote in his business, but that's the only one. This is the Entre Podcast. I've been running a business for over 30 years, and technology has changed a lot. Now the hot topic is AI. And I understand it might be intimidating, but like a lot of other tech that took some getting used to, AI is just a tool to help us work faster and smarter. So you'd better get on board, otherwise you're going to get left behind. NetSuite by Oracle offers AI-powered tools that help small businesses improve efficiency and make smarter decisions by bringing all major business processes into one platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth for the real-time data you need to take advantage of opportunities. Then you can forecast better, scale more efficiently, and streamline manual tasks that take too many resources away from what your business actually does. So join the more than 41,000 businesses, including Ramsey Solutions, that trust NetSuite to help tackle some of their biggest challenges. And right now you can download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/Ramsey. It's free at netsuite.com/Ramsey. As a small business owner, it's your job to set expectations for each role in your company and make sure those expectations are met. But you can't hold your team accountable to something you didn't communicate. Our free, did I mention it's free? Key results area template will help you set expectations and create role clarity for every member of your team. And you better do this for every member of your team, so you can feel confident that everyone is working on the right things to drive the business forward. Go to EntreLeadership.com/role clarity to download the template for free and start setting clear expectations for your team. Julia's in Dallas, Texas. Hi, Julia. Welcome to the EntreLeadership Podcast. What's up?
Hello. Thank you. My husband and I own a custom cabinet business, and we have 48 team members. Our revenue last year was $7.8 million.
Good for you.
Thank you. My question is, what is the process to move company-owned vehicles out of the company and then lease them back to the company?
Why would you do that?
And how do I? For insurance purposes. Just wanting to know if this is a wise decision.
No,
if there were
it won't help you. It won't help you with insurance.
It won't. Okay.
No. Because the company's still using the vehicle.
Yes.
And the risk is that you've got employees driving company vehicles, whether they're leased or whether they're owned. Insurance is exactly the same.
All right. I have heard in the past about putting the vehicles under another company completely and then leasing those.
But when you do the act of leasing them back, they're no longer in control of the other company. And so, you're just because you're the ownership doesn't matter. It's the usage that matters for the insurance purposes. And so how's the vehicle being used? Is it used in a high-risk scenario? Then you're going to get an insurance that's high-risk scenario, regardless of whether it's leased or owned. And so it's the use of the vehicle and who's driving it and, what the driving records are and those kinds of things. And so, no, it's, if you got a bunch of 18-wheelers running down the road, you got 18-wheelers running down the road. Doesn't really matter whether they're leased or owned. You still got to cover them, and they still got exactly the same risk of crashing into something based on the guy driving it or the gal driving it. It's exactly the same. Same thing's true with your fleet for delivering your wonderful custom cabinets. But no, you're not dodging anything here. And what you've got is somebody that sounds like some kind of a backwards internet article or something that you got a hold of there, because in the real world we don't do stuff like that. I do make sure that I don't own anything anymore in terms of risk management, but that's not for insurance purposes. That's not how we go at it. And so, and then the other thing, and Julia, you're not asking this, but it brings up the same question of, I've had people that didn't bother to do the math that somehow thought they were saving on taxes to buy the vehicles personally and then lease them to the company. You're not saving on taxes, because when you lease them to the company pays you the lease. You paid yourself. So it still shows up on your income tax either way. The company gets the expense, but you get the income. So you're just swapping dollars back and forth. It's like having a payphone in your house and you put the quarters in. It's still your money. It's the same exact process, and it doesn't. But that's not what Julia's asking. But some people I heard I could save on taxes if I lease my cars from my company, and no, it's just a payphone in your house, and you put the quarters in. You're gonna get the taxes coming or going. It's either going to show up on your personal return, it's going to show up on the LLC return, one of the two. Oh, and by the way, the LLC return goes straight passes through to your personal return. That's how LLCs work. LLCs do not pay federal income tax. 100% pass through of loss or profit to your personal return. So nowhere in that. That's not what Julia was asking, but just for the rest of you because I hear these stupid internet things, and it used to be 1,000 years ago, y'all remember there's a thing called cable TV back then? Yeah. And cable TV had stupid stuff that ran at night called infomercials and that kind of thing. And they would try to sell you get-rich-quick schemes, and they would go, "Get a Colorado corporation. Call now. For $500, we will sell you a kit to get a Colorado corporation, and you too can be in business for yourself. You're missing out on all these wonderful write-offs." No, you're not. You don't get extra write-offs for having a Colorado corporation. Just because pot's legal there doesn't make it work. It's not a magic pill, boys and girls. You can get gummies there, but you can't get extra write-offs there. So, it's not any harder than that, y'all. So quit looking for a magic bean. Quit looking for things. Now, Julia, I'm not fussing at you. I just got off on a tangent because it reminded me of all that stuff. Oh, the other one was a Delaware corporation, a Colorado or a Delaware corporation. And why the crap you'd want a Delaware? But it was the more liberal tax law or more liberal legal laws on liability laws would be the Delaware reason. But there's still no tax difference. And everybody, this thing was like, you can write off everything. You can write off your dog food. No, you can't. No, you can't. Not unless you're in the kennel business do you write off dog food. That's the only time. The rest of us just have to feed the puppy, okay? That's just how it works. So there we go. Thanks, Julia. Good question. Interesting question. I hadn't heard that kind of thing in a while. Glad you brought it to us on the EntreLeadership podcast. Susan is in Raleigh, North Carolina. Susan, welcome to the EntreLeadership podcast. What's up?
Hi there. I'm a veterinarian, and I own a private practice. I grossed $1.6 million last year, and I've got 7 full-time and 2 part-time employees.
Awesome.
And my questions are regarding planning myself, my practice for the legacy phase. I've got specific questions about that.
Okay.
So I'm 60 and I don't have any plans to retire anytime soon. I really like what I do and I'm healthy and my business is going well. I am the only practitioner here, and I'm not sure how to go into the legacy phase. I've listened to your podcast a lot, and I don't want to be the one that falls over backwards into the grave and throws my keys and hopes somebody catches it. But I'm not sure how to plan when I'm not planning my retirement. I have two sons, 22 and 24 years old. Neither are in this profession. I do plan to leave the business to them, which that could mean either they could choose to continue to own it and hire a veterinarian, or they could choose to sell it. But I don't want to just leave it kind of randomly, do what you want to when I'm dead. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to continue to practice and I don't have immediate plans to retire, maybe I could go 10 or 15 more years, I think. But I realize I could die at any point. If I die sooner than what I think, and I'm just not sure how to leave it for them so that it's something that they could manage.
Okay. I'm not aware. We work with a lot of veterinarians across the country, and I'm not aware of absentee owners that the veterinarian and the staff all work for them. That's an unusual model, unless it's a corporate thing of some kind. But individual standalone stores where your two sons own it and they hire a vet and the vet runs the business for them that they own, that would be a pretty unusual happening, wouldn't it?
Well, until last year, that was not even an option. You had to be a veterinarian in order to own the practice. But that has changed, and so now non-veterinarians are able to own the business.
From a legal standpoint, but from a practical standpoint, there's not a lot of times that they do this. I mean, you'd be much better off to bring in a vet in the next few years that you train up that buys it from you as you gradually as you approach retirement. It doesn't have to be in one fell swoop, but you can say, okay, I'm going to bring someone in because in 10 years or 15 years, you will be the owner of it. And we'll work that out over time, how we're going to do that, and put somebody in the, have some bench depth, so to speak. That'd be one way to do it. And then, the whatever you get for it would just be money-wise would be in your estate for your sons. Because I don't hear them itching to run this thing. It's just an asset that you have built because of your profession, and it's not like their dream in any way. They're probably going to sell it, right?
I would think so.
Yeah. So sell it for them before you die.
Well, and if I don't know when I'm going to die, then I want to continue. You're not
going to be working when you're 92.
Right.
Okay. So somewhere between now and then, we've got a gradual process, and we back out from there and go, okay. And you can set a timeline that's based on, and right now you could say, I don't know, it's going to be between 10 and 20 years. And as we approach the 10-year mark, I'll be able to nail it down a lot closer for your bench depth person, the person that's coming in to buy it. Because I got to tell you, if you come out of vet school right now and you got vet school loans, and you don't need to be buying a vet practice for another $1 million, right? So it might be good for a young vet to come in, get their loans paid off while they're working there. Y'all expand the size of the practice slightly, and then let the profits from some of the profits from the practice and let some of their income be used to buy you out. I think you could structure something like that over time, and it doesn't have to be you don't have to today go at 72 I'm quitting. You don't have to nail it down that precise, but you do need to start to develop a strategy that you can ease into.
Okay.
So when we started working on ours, I was 48, and my son was your son's age. They were he's in his early 20s, and 16 years ago. And so we said, if and when he shows competency and interest, we'll start moving him into the president's role at Ramsey. And we didn't know when that was going to be exactly, but we knew it would be out there a while, 10, 15 years. And it turned out it was about 14 years, because he's now been in that seat for about 3.5 years, and that was 16 years ago. So, but we didn't know that date when we started. We stage gated the decision based on competency, not based on a calendar. You see what I'm saying? And you could do the same thing with someone coming up behind you, that you also have a plan for them to buy you out at some point. And, they can go get a bank loan, or you can owner finance the buyout, or and they can give you all the profits for a certain number of years until you get your money out, which is a great way for you to do it. But you go, okay, for today, we're going to move towards that. And as you get competent, and as I get less interested in working every single day and want to do some traveling, or I want to do some whatever, then you'll be there. Because I'm down to working 4 days a week. I don't work Fridays anymore. And when Daniel moved into that role, we were 50-50, and now we're about 80-20 on the operations. So we're gradually moving it out. But there's not a set time when that other 20%, we haven't said, okay, on this date, I'm going to quit being the CEO and I'm only going to be a personality, which is my retirement plan, okay? But we don't have a set date. It's just kind of how we feel about it. And so we'll get there sometime in the next 10 years, and we're both fine with that. And if there's any moment we're not both fine with that, we talk about it. So all that keeps you, if you've got a little bit of a floating thing like that, Susan, it keeps you from feeling trapped by the plan that you made, which is what you're trying to avoid, I think I heard.
Yes, I really would like to continue to practice. And I do have some concern about bringing in another veterinarian and just the ability for the practice to afford that. That's why I've been a solo practitioner.
Yeah.
I do have one contract veterinarian who comes in usually 1 day a week, maybe 2 days a week occasionally, but it's just on an as needed to give me some time to do just management things. Mm-hmm. But to have someone come in who's another 40-hour or 50-hour veterinarian,
you'd have to expand your business, considerably.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know if you got a market to do that. That's something I can't decide. The other option, and I'm not as big a fan of this, just because it's kind of rubs me the wrong way as an entrepreneur, but there's a lot of vet practices and dental practices that are selling out to corporate now.
Which I think I would stop working before I did that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I'm not a fan.
Well, I'm just saying that can be your exit. It doesn't have to be today, but 10 years from now, when you're 70, it could be your exit. And you turn the asset into money, because if you do it while you're alive and still standing in the practice, you're going to get a lot more for it than the two boys are going to get for it with no vet present.
That's true. That's true.
So I want you to maximize the asset either by putting somebody on the bench at some point in the next decade, or considering the grotesque idea of selling out. But I've got some friends that ran a large vet operation here for years, and I talked to them the other day, and they got serious bank and worked. They worked two more years after doing that for the corporate guys, but they got a huge check, and that was their exit strategy, and they're probably approaching 70 now, right now, and but anyway, that's I've seen that happen, and it's your asset. You get to do with it what you want to do with it, and I don't think it's immoral to do that. It's just I like the idea of keeping things locally owned and all that kind of junk when I can, but so my first choice probably would be bench depth conversion thing. And my last choice would be some kind of corporate sale or selling to just the other local guy or gal that's there in the area and let them double the size of their practice as your exit strategy when you do finally reach the point, not at death, but at just, I do want to slow down. I only want to work 2 days a week, and I'm going to sell this thing out and work for the other guy for 2 days a week. That kind of thing. I don't know. You got to decide all that, but You do need to start thinking about a plan, and honestly, turning it over to them is probably at death only is the least you're going to get for it. That's the least you're going to get for it. So I'm probably going to try to do something other than that. But your deal. You can do whatever you want. None of those are bad answers. It's just talking it through with you. So there we go. Thanks for being with us. I'm Dave Ramsey. This is the EntreLeadership Podcast, a podcast for small business by small business. If you're looking for some kind of corporate leadership theory, think tank, or whatever, you're in the wrong freaking place. We don't do that here. What we do here is real talk for real people, because I do this stuff every day helping people. And I run this business, this thing called Ramsey. And so that's what we're here to talk about, is you, and help you guys out. Chris is with us in Dallas, Texas. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I own and operate an electronic security system company here in DFW. We serve residential and commercial clients. We have 6 team members, and including myself, and we did $935,000 top line last year.
Good for you.
Following your principles, we've got that emergency fund finally fully funded, so feel good about that, and just looking to, I know the point of it is to be there in case of emergencies, but I would also like to maximize the return on it as best as possible. So I was recently kind of debating whether to do a money market account or invest it a little bit more aggressively, and wanted to get your opinion.
How much is in it?
Roughly 100,000.
Okay, good. All right. There's 3 things you can do that you can consider. Just simply moving some of it into a high-yield savings account, which, as of this taping, is not really high yield. It's more low yield.
Yeah.
You're making 3% or something on it, and that's better than sitting in checking. And so you can do that. The second thing you can do is you could decide, all right, I'm willing to take a risk with some of this money and just move some of it into like an S&P 500 index fund. And there's nothing wrong with doing that too. I've done some of that. But the thing is, it can go down and it can go up. So, if you got 50,000 in there and the S&P goes down 10%, you lost $5,000, it doesn't kill you. Okay.
Right.
But the S&P, in 2023, the S&P went up 26%, and in 24 it went up 23%. So if you'd had that money sitting over there, you'd have made some good money on it in those 2 years. In 25, we've had some issues with Trump tariffs and other things that the S&P's gone a little bit bonkers, and you could have lost money. But you wouldn't have lost a lot. It would have been 5 or 10% or something, but it wouldn't have killed you. But you're letting some of that kind of ride the roller coaster in order, and the trade-off of the roller coaster is you might make 10, 15% on your money instead of 3. So you might make $5,000 instead of $300, or something, right?
Yeah,
on that $50,000. So that's the trade-off, and I've done some of that. Mm-hmm. And if I quantify the actual risk, like, okay, if the $50,000 goes in half, which wouldn't ever do, that's like a horrible scenario, I'm still okay. It's not ideal, but I'm still okay. So I don't have to freak out. It didn't put me out of business. It didn't put us at risk. We don't have the whole thing in there. We've got half of it in there, that kind of thing. So that's the way we played that through. The third thing we've done, and actually we do some of what I just talked about, and we also do a float. And talk to your banker. You'll be talking at your stage. You ought to be able to talk to the private banking area and not just the teller window, and say, we want to look at something like a European float where you're moving the money out of your account. They move your money out by computer, by algorithm, every night, and it rides a European float or something else. And, you can probably get 6% on it then, something like that.
Okay.
But there's little to no risk on that. And it's basically, it's a weird little formula that they They pretend like all the money went out of your account at 5 p.m. It didn't actually. And they run the calculation as if it's sitting on someone else's books until 5 a.m. And it's an overnight float. And so, or you can do it a little bit longer if you want to do that. But the private banker ought to be able to describe that to you without, and what risks there are. It should be minimal risk, but it's a little bit better rate of return than a simple high yield savings account. And it's nowhere near the risk nor the return that the mutual fund idea or the index fund idea that I laid out there. So, we're sitting at the stage now that we've got tens of millions in retained earnings. And so I'm doing both of those things. So I've got a chunk of it over riding the market because I can afford to do that. And I got a chunk of it and I got most of it on that float. I don't have any in high yield savings. Well, virtually any, and percentage-wise. So just the further you get into it, the more money's involved, the more risk you can afford to take without being crazy, without putting the business at risk or the concept of retained earnings at risk. So very, very, very good question. I'm proud of you, man. $1 million. Well done. You did it. You got $1 million business. Isn't America great? I mean, the free enterprise system, man. It's just awesome. Very cool stuff. Hey, guys, good stuff. Remember, better a weary warrior than a quivering critic. This world needs more high-quality leaders. So take courage and lead. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Thanks for listening to the EntreLeadership Podcast.